Please like, share and subscribe to the channel, please.
Read this. Where does a doctor work? Let's read it together. Where does a doctor work? Where does a doctor work? Answer. Who wants to give me the answer? Okay. Excellent. A doctor works in a hospital. Hello? A doctor works in a hospital. Everyone. In a hospital. That's right. And everyone knows what a hospital is, right? A doctor works in a hospital. Good job. Where does a teacher work? Say it. Where does a teacher work? Come on, tell me. A full sentence.
A teacher works in school.
Excellent. Teacher works in a school. What's the name? Read it again. A teacher works in a school. Excellent. In a field. Okay. Where does a worker work? Where does a worker work? Where does a worker work? Someone who hasn't answered something. Go ahead. Where does a worker work? In a factory. Tim, is that okay? Yes. A worker works in a factory. Factory, all together. Say it. A worker works in a factory. Okay, are you going to read this or are you going to tell me? Are you going to read it? Are you going to read this? You can read this all by yourself? Okay, good guy. Where does a nurse work? Where does, good try. Well done, good try. Where does a nurse work? Where does a nurse work? Someone who hasn't answered yet? Where does a nurse work? A nurse works in a, sorry about that. A nurse works in a hospital. Okay, so tell me when you're ready.
Ready.
Where does a doctor work?
A doctor works in a hospital.
Where does a teacher work?
A teacher works in a school, primary school.
Okay, where does a farmer work?
A farmer works in a field.
Where does a worker work?
A worker works in a factory.
And where does a nurse work?
A nurse works in a hospital.
Okay, good job. Where does a doctor work?
A doctor works in a hospital.
Where does a teacher work?
A teacher works in a primary school.
Where does a farmer work?
A farmer works in a field.
Where does a worker work?
A worker works in a factory.
And where does a nurse work?
A nurse works in a hospital.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, tell me when you're ready. Where does a doctor work?
A doctor works in a hospital.
Where does a teacher work?
A teacher works in school.
Where does a farmer work?
A farmer works in a field.
Where does a worker work?
A worker works in a factory.
And where does a nurse work?
A nurse is in hospital.
Okay. Where does a doctor work?
A doctor works in a hospital.
Where does a teacher work?
A teacher works in a school.
Where does a farmer work?
A farmer works in a field.
Where does a worker work?
A worker works in a factory.
And where does a nurse work?
A nurse works in a hospital.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Okay. Doctor work.
Doctor works in a hospital.
Where does a teacher work?
A teacher in primary school.
Where does a farmer work?
A farmer in
Work?
a field.
Works in a field. Where does a worker work?
A worker in a factory.
And where does a nurse work? A nurse. Where does a nurse work?
A nurse in a hospital.
Good. Good try. Good try. Where does a doctor work?
A doctor works in a hospital.
Where does a teacher work?
A teacher works in a school.
Where does a farmer work?
Again.
Where does a farmer work?
A farmer works in a field.
Where does a worker work?
A worker works in a factory.
And where does a nurse work?
A nurse works in a hospital.
Okay, thank you. Where does a doctor work?
A doctor works in a hospital.
Where does a teacher work?
A teacher works in a school.
Where does a farmer work?
A farmer works in a field.
Where does a worker work?
A worker works in a factory.
And where does a nurse work?
A nurse works in a hospital.
Doctor work.
A doctor works in the hospital.
Where does a teacher work?
A teacher works in a school.
Where does a farmer work?
A
Farmer.
farmer works in a field.
Where does a worker work?
A worker works in a factory.
And where does a nurse work?
A nurse works in a hospital.
Okay, good. Where does a doctor work?
A doctor works in a hospital.
Where does a teacher work?
A teacher works in a school.
Where does a farmer work?
A farmer works in a field.
Where does a worker work?
A worker works in a factory.
And where does a nurse work? Excellent, good job. Very good. Where does a doctor work?
Work in a hospital.
Where does a teacher work?
A teacher work in a school.
Where does a farmer work?
A farmer work in a field.
Where does a worker work?
A worker work in a factory.
And where does a nurse work?
A nurse work in a hospital.
Good try, good try. Good. Does a teacher work?
A teacher work in a primary school.
Where does a farmer work?
A farmer work in a field.
Where does a worker work?
A worker in a field. In a factory.
And where does a nurse work?
In a lecture.
A nurse works